Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sabrina. If you are new here, I would love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel. It definitely helps me grow, and so I'd really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Um, Today I want to talk about something that I feel like everybody kind of deals with at some point in time, and that is how to charge for a service and feeling guilty about charging for it. So, I'm a hairstylist. I've been doing hair for a little over 11 years now. And most of that time, I have been what's considered a booth renter. And so it's been up to me to determine my pricing. And, it's a, so for whatever reason, when you talk about money, it gets really just awkward and uncomfortable. I don't know why that is. It just is. And that's something I get asked a lot, to how to charge for something, and that's the thing where it's so personal to everybody. There's so many factors that go into pricing, and they typically are: what are your expenses? So, what does it cost you to do that service? What is your education? Do you spend a lot of money on continuing education? What is your reputation? Are you booked out 6 weeks in advance? Do you constantly have a waiting list? Do people travel to see you? How good are you? And what are your goals? Like, what do you want to make? And so, a lot of times, I think we love what we do so much, or especially my profession, I know that I get really personal and then emotionally attached to clients, especially friends and family. And then I feel guilty for charging them. And so, why is that? Like, why is it that you'll bust your ass, you'll spend a lot of time, a lot of product on something, and when it comes down to charging someone for that service, when you're checking them out, all of a sudden you cut off like 20, 50, sometimes $100 on something, and then afterwards you're like, why did I do that to myself? Why do I feel like, or why did I feel the urge to even discount that in the first place? And that can be a different answer for everybody. Some of mine are, for instance, I hate doing updos. Absolutely hate them. I'm not an upstyler by any means. So I used to charge, I believe it was like $50 for an upstyle. And I hate doing updos. I struggle with it. It's my weak point. So I would quote someone what my price was. They would be fine with that price. They would come in, I'd do the service. I wouldn't be 100% satisfied with what the upstyle was. And so when it would be time to check them out, I would cut it down to like 35 bucks. Yeah. That's not okay. Because what happens for me, I'm like, oh, I'm not happy with it. So 15 bucks off isn't that big of a deal. If you do that regularly, you're cutting yourself out of so much money, and that's not okay. And it's not necessarily just about the money aspect of it. It's about, why do we feel guilty? For me, in that situation, I felt guilty for charging so much for something, or that amount for something, because I wasn't proud of it. I didn't feel like I was up to par with my pricing, and that's a valid thing. So if you are constantly having highlights that bleed, um, your clients are constantly, I guess, complaining about something, you need to take a step back and reevaluate. Maybe you're getting burnout. Maybe you need some education. Maybe you need to look into different color lines, things like that, of performance. So there's factors that go into that. But everybody can feel guilty for different reasons. Maybe, here's another instance. Maybe that client just told you that they're going to get laid off next month. Maybe that client's having a baby or getting married, so you want to give them that as a present. Maybe that client is a good friend of yours and they bought you dinner last time you guys went out. Or maybe it's a family member and it's your mom, it's your sister, your cousin, so you feel guilty. I have done every single one of those, guys. Every single one of those. And it has to stop. It's not okay. You yourself need to figure out, for one, why you feel guilty for charging for your service. Is it because you need more education in that department? Is it because you owe that person money? Is it because X, Y, and Z reason? You need to decide why you felt the need to discount that service or why you felt guilty for charging something. Um, there are times when I have done a service and I check someone out and I'm like, I really undercut myself on that. And that to me is a learning curve. Maybe if I quoted someone something before or told them it was going to be something that I got into and realized it's more work, that's on me. So now, how did I learn from that? I give ballpark pricing. I have starting prices and it goes up based on the amount of hair you have and the amount of product that's needed. So now I give myself a ballpark range to protect myself. There's also been times I've quoted somebody something and I get in, it's not that much work. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It was really simple. They don't have any hair. So I have not discounted, but I've cut the price down because that to me is being fair. But everybody puts value on things differently. So let me give you another example. I had a client one time that was kind of not rude, but a little rude about my pricing. So I'll just tell you what it was. She came in for a haircut and a full base color. So my full base color, I think at that time was $75, and then my haircut was like $45. So it was around $120, $130 when all was said and done. And she made comments that she thought that was kind of expensive, but she kept coming back, which is a weird thing. But the problem with this was she then would brag to me about how she bought a purse that was in the thousands of dollars, like over $4,000, okay? So how do you think that made me feel? She's kind of discrediting the service that I'm providing for her and saying that she thinks it's too expensive. But then she's over here bragging to me about how she purchased a purse that was thousands and thousands of dollars. Y'all, for one, I'm not a purse girl. If you are, no judgment, but I'm just not, and that's okay. We all put value on things differently. I, for one, have no problem going and dropping $100 on dinner if it's a nice dinner because it provides me an experience. But I'm also not going to go spend over $100 on a purse. I've done that once in my life, and I'm still carrying that exact same purse, by the way. So that's been like 6 years ago. If that tells you anything, I'm not materialistic in that way. I want to spend my money more on experiences. This particular client was more materialistic where she liked more items, okay, instead of an experience. And guess what? Neither one are right or wrong. They're not. Everybody puts value on something different. And I think the problem is whatever our issues around money and finances are, we tend to project that on other people. And just because I'm not willing to spend $4,000 on a purse, I have no right to judge her and wonder why she would even think that's remotely acceptable. I didn't even know what a Birkin bag was until like 2 years ago, by the way, y'all. Like, that's just how I'm just not into that stuff, okay? But the whole point of this conversation is you need to figure out what your own issues around money are. Was it how you were raised? Did you grow up poor? Did your parents have money and buy it? Like they always bought you whatever you wanted? You know, there's all these different reasons around issues around money, and everybody's is so personal to them, just like what you charge is personal to you. The thing is, if you have clients that pay your prices and they come back, they're okay to pay them. If they weren't okay to pay them, they would either pay them and never return, or they would ask you for a discount or to work out some type of agreement. And when you go up on your prices and you increase things like that, sure, you're going to lose people. It's a given. I have a budget and I have set things that I can afford that are reasonable to me, and there's some things that are just not even remotely possible for me, right? So that being said, when you go up on your prices, your expenses, and people leave, so what? You just made room for someone that sees your value that's willing to pay for it. If you did a service and you busted your ass on that service and you were proud of it, you should charge what your value is and what your worth is. And that should include your expenses, and that should include your time, and maybe even a little extra to like help you with your financial goals and savings. It's up to you to charge that. Sometimes when you work for somebody else, it's easy to let them determine your value for you. But that's one of the reasons why I love working by myself. And even though I work by myself and I am my own boss, I still struggle with this, guys. Like, money is just awkward. We all love it, we all hate it at the same time. I personally wrap my value up too much into what I make. And you know what the problem with that is? We're military. We move every 4 years. So guess what happens to my income? It constantly fluctuates. And I struggle with that. I'm not going to lie about that. I struggle with having to start over and having to adjust my lifestyle and the things that I want because of my personal income. And that's the thing. It's what you charge is personal to you. So, that being said, be kind to yourself. If you're working your butt off and you have nothing to show for it, you got to reevaluate. If you're charging a lot of money for something and people are complaining all the time, or coming back and you have a bunch of redos that's more than every couple months, that's normal, you got to reevaluate. Maybe that you need some more education or you need to cut back on something, So the whole point of this is stop putting so much value into how other people make you feel. And this goes to me too. I mean, when someone doesn't like their hair, oh my God, it really bothers me. And I've gotten better about this over the years, but it bothers me. To me, it's a reflection of me like, I feel like it's a reflection of who I am as a person, and that's not the case. Sometimes the foil slipped. Sometimes the toner went too dark. Sometimes I didn't make it very clear in our consultation that someone can't get that blonde in that appointment. Things happen. It's okay. But it's not okay to constantly discredit yourself, to constantly discount your work, and to feel defeated and to get burnt out because you're not charging for your job. In the beauty industry, we have we're in more of a luxury industry, and we are taken advantage of. Gone are the days where, $5 haircuts are a thing. Seriously, y'all, I gotta tell you a story real quick. So, my granny, I'm from the South, of course. My granny is what I call her, is one of the funniest women I've ever met in my life, but she's also one of the harshest women I've ever met in my life. I'll never forget when when I was in North Carolina, I would still cut her hair, and I never wanted to charge her because she's my grandma, like you don't charge your grandma. And she'd always just hand me money anyways. And she would just ask me, she's like, well, how much do you charge for your haircut anyways? And I think at that time it was only like $25. And she's like, Lord, I would never, why'd somebody ever pay you that much for a haircut? She said, Shirley down at the other barber shop, she only charges me $6. Y'all, like, God love her. She's an amazing human. But how insulting is that? I'm her granddaughter and she doesn't understand. Same thing when she saw I had extensions in, or when she'd see me highlighting somebody's hair. She doesn't understand. And, even the other day, she asked my dad how I was doing. And she was like, I bet she's not making any money out there. My dad's like, she's doing pretty well for herself. And she's like, no, I bet she ain't making anything. You're just going on and on, because she's still stuck in the 1940s, 50s, even 60s, where haircuts were a couple dollars. And time has very much evolved. My education has very much evolved from that. So, whole point of that story is people can be insulting because they're ignorant and they don't know better. That's just the truth. However, you cannot expect someone to understand what your expenses are, how much you spend on education, if you don't share that and you're not vocal and you don't prove it. So it's up to you to show people how much you care. But at the end of the day, if someone makes you feel like shit and they don't support you in your business and they constantly complain, maybe you don't want them as a client. And guess what? That's totally okay, because you just made more room for someone that's willing to pay you and even travel to pay you to do their hair, because they value you and your craft so much, because they think you're amazing. And that is something I struggle with myself. I have clients that travel over 3, 6, even 12 hours for me to do their hair regularly. And all the time I'm like, why? Like, why do you guys like me so much? I don't understand, And I always hear the same stuff that I listen, they love the way I do their hair, and that I need to give myself some more credit. So that's the same thing with you guys. We're always going to be our own worst critics. And the whole point of this is be kind to yourself, value yourself more. If you want to make more, it's up to you to change that. So look at your expenses, look at your education, charge what you feel you are worth. And it's not up to somebody else to decide what you're worth, it's up to you. You just accept that from people. And you know, if people didn't want to pay you for that service, trust me, they're not going to. They'll not come back. They won't come back. And if people love you and they think you're worth it, they're going to continue to come back, plus probably even tip you on top of it and even make a comment that you're too cheap. So, that being said, thank you guys for listening to my ramble. Dig deep and do your own research on why you have some of the money financial issues that you have. Why do you feel guilty for charging too much or not enough for that particular service? And you got to work on yourself. Always be willing to work on yourself and your craft. We should always be growing. If you ever feel like you make it to the top, you need a different career. So, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would love if you would subscribe to my channel and share my video. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. What are some of your money issues and money challenges? I would love to know what everybody else kind of struggles with. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.